not cracked, broken, or leaking. It's at proper level. The cap is not missing, tight and secure. My hose free from cuts, cracks, and bulges. Clamps are tight and secure. My windshield reservoir is not cracked, broken, or leaking. The cap is not missing, tight and secure. The hose is free from cuts, cracks, and bulges. Clamps are tight and secure. And my windshield reservoir has a full set of nuts and bolts, tight and secure to my cab. My coolant has a full set of nuts and bolts, tight and secure to my radiator. I follow the biggest hose coming out my radiator, free from cuts, cracks, and bulges. The clamp is tight and secure. It leads me to my water pump. My water pump is not cracked, broken, and legally welded, tight and secure with a full set of nuts and bolts, tight and secure to the engine. My Serpentine Belt, it's not ripped or torn, no more than 3/4 of play, and it's not too long and not too tight. Too long, it will slip off. Too tight, it will damage the brains or anything connected to it. Now I go to my driver's side. My power steering reservoir is not cracked, broken, or leaking. It's at a proper level. The cap is not missing, tight and secure. My reservoir has a full set of nuts and bolts, tight and secure to the radiator. My engine reservoir is not cracked, broken, and legally welded. The cap is not missing, tight and secure. And it is at proper level. My air compressor is not cracked, broken, legally welded, tight and secure with a full set of nuts and bolts to my engine. My alternator is not cracked, broken, and legally welded, tight and secure with a full set of nuts and bolts, tight and secure to the engine. The wires come back of my alternator is free from no bare wires to prevent a short. And on my alternator, I'm listening for leaks. I follow this hose coming out of my power steering reservoir. It's rubber, it's free from cuts, cracks, and bulges. The cap is tight and secure. Then it turns into metal. It's not cracked, broken, and legally welded. I follow it all the way down is my water pump. My water pump is not cracked, broken, and legally welded, tight and secure with a full set of nuts and bolts to my engine. Okay, my four hoses. My water, substitute this for oil. This is my fuel, and all these are my air. My fuel, my liquid is free from cuts, cracks, and bulges. We're checking for leaks. My air, free from cuts, cracks, and bulges, and we're listening for leaks. My steering rod is not cracked, broken, legally welded, no more than 2 inches of play. My joints are not cracked, broken, legally welded, well lubricated. My steering box is not cracked, broken, and legally welded, tight and secure with a full set of nuts and bolts to the chassis. The spring mount hanger is not cracked, broken, legally welded, tight and secure to the chassis with a full set of nuts and bolts. My leaf spring is a full set, it's not cracked, broken, and legally welded, no leaf spring strap. My mounting pad is at a proper place, it's not cracked, broken, and legally welded. And there is no rubber stopper. My U-bolt is not cracked, broken, and legally welded, tight and secure with a full set of nuts and bolts. My steering linkage, my pinion arm, my drag links, my string arm, and my tie rod end is not cracked, broken, and legally welded. The castle nuts is not cracked, broken, and legally welded, tight and secure with the cotter pin going through it. My shock absorber is not cracked, broken, and legally welded, tight and secure with a full set of nuts and bolts to my chassis. And it's not leaking any grease. If it is, it needs to be replaced. My hose is free from cuts, cracks, and bulges. We're listening for leaks. My brake chamber is not cracked, broken, and legally welded, tight and secure with a full set of nuts and bolts. The clamp is not cracked, broken, and legally welded, tight and secure. Okay, my push rod is not cracked, broken, and legally welded, tight and secure with the cotter pin going through it. My slack adjuster is not cracked, broken, and legally welded, tight and secure with this cotter pin going through it. And no more than 1 inch of play with the brakes off. My inner axle seal is not cracked, broken, or leaking. And my brake pad is not cracked, broken, legally welded, no less than 1/4 of life. My brake drum is not cracked, broken, legally welded. My inner and outer steers is free from cuts, cracks, and bulges. There is no nails or screws to prevent a short. No recaps are permitted. And the tire thread should be no less than 4/32. And the air pressure should be from 85 to 100, whatever the manufacturer recommends. My ventilation hose, I'm checking for a white powder or black powder. White powder indicates the brakes overheated, a fire extinguisher was used. Black powder indicates metal rubbing. My valve stem is not cracked, broken, or bent, or touching the rim. the cap is missing and I'm listening for leaks. My lug nuts is a full set, tight and secure. If there's any rust holes, if there's any rust, that means they need to be tightened. My hub seal is free for cuts, cracks, and bulges, checking for leaks. My hub seal plate is not cracked, broken, legally welded, with a full set of nuts and bolts, tight and secure. My rim and my wheel is not cracked, broken, and legally welded. My mirror bracket is not cracked, broken, legally welded, tight and secure to the door with a full set of nuts and bolts. My step and my catwalk is not cracked, broken, legally welded, tight and secure with a full set of nuts and bolts. No grease or oil to prevent self-slipping. My straps is not cracked, broken, legally welded, tight and secure with a full set of nuts and bolts to the chassis. The rubber between my straps is not ripped or torn or missing, and is to prevent metal rubbing. My fuel tank is not cracked, broken, or bent, and it's not leaking. My cap is tight and secure and it's not missing. The gasket is not missing and it has its proper T-chain. My door opens and closes properly. My door latch is not cracked, broken, or legally welded, tight and secure with a full set of nuts and bolts. My hinges is not cracked, broken, legally welded, it's not rusted, and it's tight and secure. The weather seal around my door is not ripped or torn, it's not missing, and is to prevent air or water inside the cab. My emergency compartment, I said it when I was in cab. Would you like for me to repeat it? They'll say no. My battery box is not cracked, broken, legally welded, tight and secured with a full set of nuts and bolts to the chassis. My battery should not contain less than 3 batteries. The terminals are free from corrosion. The wires, no bare wires to prevent a short. My drive shaft is not cracked, broken, and legally welded. Okay, and my U-joints, shaft down there. Yeah. My U-joints consist 3 parts, 1, 2, and 3. It's not cracked, broken, and legally welded. My drive shaft is connected to my transmission. My transmission is not cracked, broken, legally welded, and we check it for leaks. The back part of my drive shaft is connected to my differential. It's not cracked, broken, legally welded, and we check it for leaks. The cross member is not cracked, broken, legally welded, tight and secure with a full set of nuts and bolts. My chassis is not cracked, broken, or bent, or illegally welded. My exhaust is not cracked, broken, illegally welded. My exhaust bracket is not cracked, broken, illegally welded, tight and secure with a full set of nuts and bolts, and tight and secure to my chassis. The stack, unfortunately, it's missing. But if it wasn't, it's not cracked, broken, illegally welded, and no black suit to prevent poison fumes out in the air. My elbow and my flex is not cracked, broken, illegally welded. No rust holes to prevent poison fumes inside of my cab. My airlines, red for emergency, blue for service. They're free for cuts, cracks, and bulges. We're listening for leaks. Black or green, no bare, my electric line, no bare wires to prevent a short. My glad hands is not cracked, broken, and legally welded. The gasket is not missing, and we're listening for leaks. My springs holding my hangers is not cracked, broken, and legally welded, tight and secure to my cab. My airlines is not too long, not too short. Too long, get caught up in my differential. Too short, when I make a turn, it'll activate my emergency brakes. Okay, like that, like that, like that. Okay. So same thing here. Everything I said about the fire extinguisher, black
and white smoke,
black powder and all that. You say the same thing. Everything, you inspect your whole tires, your rim, spring mount hangers, your leaf springs, everything. The only difference is your slack adjuster here is 2 inches of play. The other difference, recaps are permitted. The other difference, no less than 232s. Another difference is the butting space. Make sure there's no debris. Another difference is your airbag. Free for cuts, cracks, and bulges, fully inflated, and we're listening for leaks. Okay? Now we go to fifth wheel. My platform is not cracked, broken, and legally welded, tight and secure with a full set of nuts and bolts. My fifth wheel is not cracked, broken, and legally welded, tight and secure to my platform. On top of my fifth wheel is called a skid plate. My skid plate is not cracked, broken, and legally welded, and it's well lubricated. On top of your fifth wheel. Okay. This is called your apron. It's not cracked, broken, and legally welded. There should not be any gap between my apron and my skid plate. My locking jaw is not cracked, broken, and legally welded. It goes around my kingpin. It's not cracked, broken, and legally welded, well lubricated, and it's not bent. My release arm is not cracked, broken, or legally welded, and it's in the lock position. My fifth wheel is movable. I have my locking pins there. They're in the lock position. They're not cracked, broken, legally welded. These pins here.
Okay.
My air hose for my fifth wheel, free for cuts, cracks, and bulges, and we're listening for leaks. Now, this is your bottom frame and your upper frame. It's not cracked, broken, legally welded, and it's not bent. Okay? DOT tape is not missing, it's not ripped or torn, it's fully visible. My laminates, it's not, it's a full set, it's not cracked, broken, or missing. The rivets, tight and secure, none missing. My header board is a full set of laminates. It's not cracked, broken, or missing. The rivets is a full set, tight and secure. Okay. My directional signal is not cracked, broken, or missing. No bare wires to prevent a short. My splash guards is not cracked, broken, or missing. Tight and secure with a full set of nuts and bolts. The DOT tape is not ripped or torn or missing. My landing gear goes up and down properly. It's not cracked, broken, legally welded. My boot is not cracked, broken, legally welded. My handle is in the lock position. It's not cracked, broken, legally welded. My supports is not cracked, broken, legally welded. Tight and secure with a full set of nuts and bolts.